Hey everybody, what's going on? Adobe After Effects CS6 tutorials. In this tutorial we're going to be talking about opacity and how to fade things out and fade them in, or turn them off or turn them on. So let's get right to it. This should be a pretty quick tutorial. Let's start now. The quickest way to get to opacity is by clicking on a layer and pressing T. That brings up the opacity, so you can do it to this one also. Another way is to twirl down into your transforms, and then opacity is down there at the bottom. So let's I like to hit T because it doesn't have all that other crap in the way. So if you have opacity at 100%, it's going to show. If you have it at 0, it's going to be gone. Let's turn it on. I have the two squishes here, and then we can you can animate opacity, and that's the way you can do crossfades, or you can animate opacity to be 100% and then 0% to just turn right off real quick. So I'll explain. We'll start at the beginning. We'll set the opacity to 100% by keyframing it. Clicking on the stopwatch starts the keyframe, and then we'll go in like a second and go to 0. Now if I do a RAM preview, you can see it fades out. Simple enough. Now you want something to turn off really quick, so you set your keyframe at a point, hit the page down button to go 1 frame. Use this all the time. Type in 0%, and now you can see it'll turn it off. Yep, that one turns right off without fading. And that's easy. And when you're doing something like this and you're going to turn this off for good, you can grab your layer here on the end and pull it in close. That way After Effects doesn't try to render any layers you have, any frames on the layers, and it'll save you processing time. So then I would try to take this all the way down here. Doesn't have to be right on. Sometimes if you do it right on, you might mess up and have it like cut off too early or something like that. You can also animate opacity at the same time. So let's delete these keyframes, and I'm going to turn it off here. I'm going to click on both of these by holding Control or Shift. Shift will select a bunch in a row. Like here, I'll click on this, and then I'll hold Shift and click on BG. Oop, that's locked. Hold on. And it'll select all of them in between. Or I can click on the layer and hit Control, and it'll only select, kind of like when you're selecting keyframes. So let's looks like the opacity is at 0. We'll turn that back on 100 real quick, so you can see what's going on. Alright, select both, hit T, and if you hit the stopwatch for 1, it's going to make it go for 2 if you have, or for both of them if you have both selected. Move it. Now all you got to do is select or type in the percentage for 1, and they will both go to 50%. Move it back here and then put it back up, and just doing 1. Doesn't have to be the top one. I can do it to the bottom one too. Let's do 95%. Oh, not 1 zillion 95, just 95. Now you can see they're both at 95. Quick way to animate things at the same time. Another little tip for animating opacity, or any other value really, click on your keyframe here, and your current time indicator is not on that keyframe, so you don't know what the value is of this keyframe. So you can right click it, 50% right there. This one, right click it, you know that one's at 100%. So let's see if those were actually at 100% and 50. Yep, that was at 100, and this one was at 50. It's a quick way to figure out what your keyframes are. So that's it for animated opacity. It's really simple. Opacity is used all the time to turn layers off or to fade out. Fading out happens all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Made it quick for you, and go out and have some fun. See you later. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Adobe After Effects CS6 tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about scale, and we were just out having a cookout, grilling steaks, grilling chicken, and just decided to take this picture of us. That's me in the front, and that's Bucky over here, and this face right here. Pure enjoyment. Wow, he's so happy. Well, now that you guys know he's alive, we can rest easy and start getting on with our next tutorial. So let me show you guys how to do a couple tricks of scaling. And first off, an easy way to scale is by these handles right here. Just like in almost any program, you can use these handles to scale. And usually you want to take one of the corners, because you can go anywhere with a corner. If you hold shift after you've already dragged, it'll stay proportionate. Most of the time you don't want to squish things, so try to stay proportionate for most of the things. A client doesn't usually like it when you disproportionately scale their logo or something that they created. So another way to scale is in the transformation menus down here. So you press S on the keyboard to get to the scale menu. We can type in different values and it'll scale according to the percentage that you put in. Same with you can click and drag. Same with the opacity and position. You can click and drag, and if you hold shift, it'll go fast. Both of the X and Y scales are currently linked, so when you move one, it moves with another. Now the way you can get it to not do that is clicking on this little chain right here. That breaks the link, and now you can scale each coordinate individually. A trick that I learned with scaling is that you can invert or flip your image. So if you want to flip over the y-axis, come over here onto the X and hit -100, and it'll flip it the other way. Then you can go ahead and link it again, and now you can scale them facing this way. Now if you would like to flip that back, you just change that back to regular 100, and then so you can see now if you click on your layer and have it selected and you hold Control Alt and you press F, I gotta click on it, Control Alt F, it will fit the image to the comp. So I can undo it, and it says undo fit to comp. So that is what that is called when you hold Control Alt and press F. On the Mac, Command instead of Control. Pretty much anytime I say Control, I'm using the Windows version, and that's almost the only thing that's different between a Mac and a Windows is instead of pressing Control, you're going to press Command. So if you have a if you have a Mac computer, when I say Control, just think of the Command button.